I think, in my point of view, biology provides us another really interesting ingredient to work with. So, for example, we have been thinking about creating personalized or customized or product experiences using digital tools such as sensors, digital actuators, or digital technology connectivity to create those. And biology, if we think about biology, is really looking at the digital aspect of nature, how we can digitalize natural experiences. So, for example, we can create responsive and adaptive experience without the needs of batteries, without the needs of Wi-Fi or other technologies, and but really using what the qualities and then what the behaviors of nature, of bacteria and such forth can bring us. And for us designers and technologists can really use that qualities of nature to create new types of experiences. So both in terms of biology, such as bacteria, how we can sense us, how we can actuate responses, and what kind of applications that we as designers can think about to bring that experience to the market.
For us and for the experience that we had was very interesting and very clearly a way to explore new ways to bring our understanding of how to build new products and services together with the perspectives of people that work in science. Biology has a lot of, give us a lot of opportunities looking into materials mainly, but also in ways in which we can think about how to change the way in which until now industry and technology thought about products. There are for sure a lot of opportunities in terms of making all the production of new products more sustainable, meaning that we can work a lot on materials that are built on a biological basis. And thanks to these materials, of course, we can rethink about the whole life cycle of a product. And by this I mean both from the side of production, how something is produced and can be produced thanks to biodesign in a much more sustainable and wasteless way. The consumption or the usage of the product that can be much more related to each individual and the way in which people use a specific product, and then how to dispose the product. So applying biodesign principles and let's say, of course, biological sustainable ways to build these materials, then we have the opportunity to recycle or to waste them in a way that is completely, let's say, completely or at least much more sustainable from the point of view of the environment. I think this is the most important benefits that we can leverage on biodesign. So on one end, the production, and the other end, the disposing the products.
So the environmental benefits of using biology and merging that with design and technology, I think we can rethink from the customer point of view, from the user perspective, of what it means to own, to use, and then to dispose of products. So compared to the traditional products that we would buy off online or from the stores, we would use it, and then after a certain number of months or years, we would dispose it. Having a living material, biology and bacteria, embedded into our products, where it's, I think that creates a different type of experience and expectations and relationship between the user and the product. So back to the environmental benefits, I think it can help us to rethink what it means to consume and to dispose and to own something. And in the end, after when we dispose a product, how we can biodegrade and go back to nature, and then we can kind of think about the full cycle of both the production, consumption, and the post-consumption.
I see a lot of potentialities in terms of the way in which, for sure, switching towards a model, an industrial model that, let's say, embrace biodesign and biology as part of the industrial production will be something quite a big switch because of course, like the whole way in which now like industry is, at least in the, for instance, for the experience that we have in the fashion industry, is not really structured in a way that can be like easily converted, or like can easily switch from like the today's ways of production to the ones based on biodesign. Together with this, I see that for sure biotechnologies will boost and will probably change the way in which a lot of products are made. I see this like this innovation as part of a larger, let's say, perspective and say in paths of innovation that are happening in the world. I see also like robotics and like new ways of production that will, of course, need to take into account also innovations on the side of materials and machines. But I'm not sure that this will be the next revolution. For sure, it will be a revolution in terms of the outcomes that we can expect if and when like biodesigned products will hit the market on a larger scale.
Very specific expert knowledge of biotechnology. We will have to bring that down to a workable design level and really produce or cultivate and educate and have lots of biodesigners who can work with biomaterials without the very expert specific knowledge of biotechnology. And at the same time, to bring this into the industry production level, we'll have to rework that system also and make sure that, or see how we can bring the biodesigners into the production process and really try to bring biodesign and thinking about embedding biomaterials into our products as a mainstream way of thinking, as a mainstream way of developing new materials or thinking about how we can make into interesting products and be able to scale that up. So there is a lot of work that we have to do to get to a revolutionary level. So I think we'll have to, it's biodesign provides lots of interesting opportunities, but to bring that down to realistic scale, we'll have to examine the current process and how we can work with the current process of industry production to bring biodesign.
But I don't think that as today we are ready for mass production of, let's say, biodesigned products at a large scale. I think that as soon as we will have the chance to introduce these new materials on a larger scale, the production of, let's say, the materials themselves, and then like put them into actual products, still we need to get to that passage, like to that step in the industry. So the availability of the materials, that still it's quite expensive and not really available for everyone.
I think it can be scaled, but in gradual ways. And it also depends on what type of biodesign we are talking about. So we're seeing examples of using algae or mycelium or other products that we have a final material that we can work with. And maybe in this case, it's about biodegradation. It can last on its own. But then when we're talking about also other types of biodesign, using live materials where we'll have to continuously feed, maintain, and then make sure that it's alive to maintain that experience, that takes on a different type of production and also responsibility from the consumer too. So in order to be, if we're thinking about production in large scale, we also have to think about the other side of how it will be perceived and received by the users and consumers. So of course, I think it can be produced on large scale. It'll take time, but at the same time, to get there, we do need to bring the public on board, the main consumers on board, to educate them, to expose them to the concept of biodesign so that it's more acceptable and they can see how that can be used in their everyday uses.